And on that note, we'll get started doing the right thing. So session is called You're Not Alone, Support Resources Connection. And essentially, I'm a member of SCFT, our faculty union. I teach full-time here at FCC in the English department, and I put this together with the help of my part-time advisory council through SCFT to bring resources. So I'm doing this online session this morning. I have another face-to-face session at 1 p.m. So if you think the information is useful and you know anybody that needs some extra flex day, paid training, let them know that I'll be on campus at 1 p.m. So just some general session outcomes. Essentially, I try to corral information from the union, from the district, from Fresno City specifically, to help keep everybody informed. I've done this session, as I mentioned earlier, a full-time session so faculty can know their rights and their roles, and it just made sense to do a part-time version of this. So if you have questions, please leave them in the chat or write them down and save them. I'm trying to keep this to maybe 40 minutes at the most to give us time for questions. Hopefully I can get them all answered, but if not, I'll certainly be able to get back to you via email. So hopefully things go well. Okay, so just a look at the analytics for the district. We've got 2,000 plus employees, and the majority of those employees are part-time employees. So y'all are more than double the full-time employees, and then these are just our membership numbers. I and the rest of the part-time advisory council for the union are working on reaching out more one-on-one to our part-time employees for negotiations purposes and just to support the part-time faculty and get a sense of how they're doing, what they're doing in our district, and what they need to be successful. So you are the majority of faculty and you matter. So I'm hoping that this will be helpful in giving you information and also helping you get to know who your union reps and representation is on campus. Hopefully I don't go too fast. I tend to talk a little fast. Okay, so the union is essentially your bargaining unit. So instead of having individual people go out there and negotiate a contract, we do that for you. Your employee contract is different than your course offering. So you get the smaller contract every semester for your classes that you're assigned. The employee contract is where your roles, expectations, all the job description kind of stuff is. So you can find that on our union website down here, and that goes over a lot of specifics. We are in negotiations, so technically we're out of contract, but we will still be adhering to the previous contract regulations, so to speak. So until we get something new negotiated, we're going to be sticking with the old stuff. Dues. They're $16 a month for part-timers. You're going to have union representation whether or not you pay dues. So we're here for all faculty regardless. But when you do pay dues, you get a few extra perks. So some of those include access to state and national resources and trainings, provided trainings like this. And we do workshops for unemployment, student loan forgiveness, all kinds of things that we bring to our membership. Access to legal counsel. We have a lawyer on retainer, and he basically kind of helps us keep in compliance with our own contract and also state and national regulations, labor regulations, and that sort of thing. Where this might be useful is if you have any kind of grievances or any disciplinary issues that you might need more specific counsel on. Our membership have full access to that legal counsel on retainer. Those that don't pay dues still have some general information that we can give you, but it's not as solid representation. And then also members have access to our locally sponsored scholarships for their children. So I think we started this a few years back, just after the pandemic. But we've got a scholarship committee that reviews applications every spring, and those are children of our members that get access to that. Why we need you. There are strength in numbers. So the more of us that are paying dues, the stronger our union can be, the better we can negotiate. Some of you may have been to our town hall meetings to see how negotiations are going or maybe not going. But that team, your dues help keep that team informed. That team has specific training that they do to negotiate the best contract for us. We also do public and political action and advocacy. So we do research and help support labor-friendly, faculty-friendly Board of Trustees members, House seats for the state legislature, some of that higher level state stuff. And then day to day, your dues help pay for our EDO, our executive director, our mortgage for our union house, which is at 1575 North Van Ness. It's just southwest of the campus, and day-to-day operations. So that's what we get from your dues, what you get from your dues. And if you have any questions, you can sign up for membership through our website, or if you have any questions, you can get a hold of me and a couple other people. So these are the folks on your campus. Paul Gilmore is our VP of Member Rights. I used to be in that slot. It's a lot of heavy lifting here at Fresno City, but he's your representation for any disciplinary issues or any grievances. So he'll walk you through that process and explain those things. All other questions can be directed to your at-large reps, such as myself. We're here to help make Paul's job a little easier so he's not inundated with a lot of general questions. Anything that you have questions about where to find the contract, something in the contract, how your division's working, you can ask those at-large reps. Anything that might need to be dealt with at a higher level, we can pass on to Paul, or you can get a hold of him yourself. And then Ashley is our EDO. So if you contact us through the website, or if you give us a phone call at the Union House, she's the first person that you're likely to encounter. So, and the number and the address is down there at the bottom. Okay. Within the Executive Council of SCFT is the Part-Time Advisory Committee. Essentially, all we do is we're the liaison for part-time faculty. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what we do. The committee is made up of these folks. These are just the folks that are at Fresno City College. I want to clarify that. So there are other part-time advisory committee members from Madera, from Reedley, from Clovis, but these are the folks that are on your campus here. And then some of the things that we do, we hold part-time corners, which are online. And we basically just kind of make space for part-time members to come and talk to us and ask us questions. So those part-time corners are held online via Zoom. We also have part-time house meetings. So last semester, we did those all at the Union House. This semester, we'll be taking those house meetings to individual campuses to better reach. We also do demonstrations, campuses. So you might have seen us, I think, last fall. Normally we're out for Parity Week in the fall to let other instructors know about issues facing part-timers, to let students know. A lot of students don't understand why an instructor might not have office hours because you're part-time and you don't necessarily get paid. So we basically work to inform and make people aware of and advocate. So we actually had a student from one of our Parity Week activities come and speak at a Board of Trustees meeting, which was really awesome. We are regularly at Board of Trustees meetings. There's one next Tuesday at 3:30 in Clovis. I'll be there. So, but we go out and basically advocate for part-time rights. And then we also create part-time resources. So this presentation is one of those resources. We have an official part-time office space. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but that's in OAB 220. And we've established the part-time faculty hub on campus. So we are pretty, when we say part-time action committee, advisory committee, we do a lot of actions. They might not be large, but we try to do regular substantive interactions with our part-time faculty and everybody else to advocate for part-time rights. Okay, so the house meetings this semester are here. I'm not going to read them to you. I'll be hosting the one out at Madera Community College. Normally we open a space for about 2 hours. We bring snacks and we have a general theme that we go over. But really, those meetings are just about getting to know you and figuring out how we can best advocate for you. Our part-time corners are via Zoom 12 to 2 the first Friday of every month. And you will likely be receiving emails from either Karina Lemos or Samantha Brookshire, the co-chairs of our part-time advisory committee, with links to those and dates. So look for your emails. Okay. some new resources. The part-time faculty hub, which I talked about a little before, a copy of this presentation will be there. This is on Canvas and it's self-enroll. So I just published it this morning. It's a little bare bones now, but hopefully we'll be filling it up with more resources as we go. And if you have any resources to share with us, we'd appreciate that because we can put it out for everybody. So there's the self-enroll link here. We are also launching it's not necessarily part-time, it's an SCFT Discord, but there are unique channels for full-time faculty, part-time faculty, campus-related issues. So that is the QR code for our Discord. The executive council's been kind of playing around with it this summer, so hopefully it's pretty smooth and easy to utilize. Okay. Speaking of the district office, so the union is negotiating for faculty rights. We negotiate with the district. There are dollars and cents, folks, paperwork machine, and the most important office that you're likely to interact with is HR. So they handle your payroll, unemployment, salary advancement, all the paperwork kind of stuff. I do want to point out that HR is also hosting monthly office hours at the campuses. So that normally comes through in the email. They let us know, hey, we're going to be on your campus. This is where we're going to be. So if you have any specific issues, or I don't want to say it's usual, but if you haven't heard from somebody that you emailed a couple of times, if you can catch them on your campus, if you have the time, that can sometimes be an immediate way to get help with reading a paycheck or any discrepancies that you might have. So the union comes to the campus, but so does the district. And then some key players here, not going to go through all these, but these are likely people that you'll reach out to for part-time issues. Not all these people will come to the campus office hours. I believe, I know Francis normally comes, but it may be a couple or multiple of them that come to campus. But again, your email will let you know that. Okay. Just some quick breakdown of paychecks, because that was one of the big things that came out in our part-time house meeting, is part-timers having trouble reading those paychecks. So if you have any specific questions, feel free to reach out to me, any other at-large rep, or Paul. But basically, in self-service is where you can find your pay grade and steps, so where you're at on the salary schedule. The salary schedule can be found through the district website to tell you, based on that grade and step, how much you should expect to be paid. You should also be able to find these in appendices in the contract. So all the way at the end, we have the salary schedule as well. Make sure that you're looking at the correct one, if it's instructional or non-instructional. Where we get into lecture pay is pretty much straightforward. You lecture for so many LHE hours, you get paid at that rate. The funny thing with how some of this stuff is listed is that all of your pay is listed as adjunct faculty supplemental, but you may get paid for things. So in this last box over here, other for office hours or paid training or flex like today, those will be listed as different line items, but they're generally categorized as adjunct faculty pay. If you are working a lecture lab or large group instruction, this is where those line items can get a little tricky. Feel free to email me or Paul. We can sit down with you one-on-one or bring it to the house meeting, part-time house meeting or part-time corner, and we'll work to get your specific questions answered. But yes, this is kind of the general lecture pay and how that looks. Okay. Part-time healthcare is piloting through next year, so we are still currently in negotiations, working to expand plans, lower what our out-of-pocket costs. We're currently in negotiations to do that, so hopefully there will be some updates soon. But essentially, you're eligible for part-time healthcare if you have 50% of a full-time load. There are multiple plans that are through Kaiser. We're looking to expand that, but they have facilities in Fresno and in Clovis. Spouses, domestic partners, and most children also qualify for these plans. You do not have to opt into benefits. So if you're covered under a spouse or some other job that works better for you, you don't have to take district health care. And then the hub for that is through the benefits bridge on the district's website. You can find that link here, and then there's a link to the MOU that outlines how we negotiated the healthcare with the district, and you can find that on the district website and through our union website. So that's kind of basics for part-time healthcare. Okay, so next I'm going to go through just some specific Fresno City resources.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Real quick, 50% of the full-time load is how many units again?
I will go back
7?
7.5.
7.5.
Yeah, and the 0.5 is where it gets tricky. Nobody gets assigned 0.5 of an hour. So generally that's 8 or above, but technically that's 7.5. That might go through if it's like there's non-instructional business in there.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. Okay, so again, not going to read all of this. It'll be in the presentation for you, but administrative services, office of instruction, essentially what each of these offices do, and then their key contact information is here. Admissions and records, support services, technology support services, and then the FCC faculty and staff hub, which is different than your portal. Generally, there are lots of forms and policies and procedures in this faculty hub. I do believe there is some part-time onboarding that I kind of went through and put into this presentation. But if you have any questions about those forms or anything on that faculty and staff hub, feel free to reach out. Parking permits generally online. You can pay for them by cash at OAB in the OAB, but those are going to be mailed to you. If you have any parking, if you get a parking ticket or have any parking issues, contact campus police. And the number here is a little bit different than the number here. They all go to the same place, but this is for mainly parking issues. But I do imagine that it's important to know your emergency numbers, especially for teaching any very early morning classes or evening classes. We are looking in PTAC to expand some resources to those of you that are teaching in the evening. Getting the office space was part of that, but we're looking to have maybe some food resources as well, because just everything kind of shuts down at 5, and that's just a shame because people are plenty here from 6 to 10. All right, divisions and departments. Essentially, we're going to go through in the next slide a breakdown of how these different levels compare. But your division and department are doing your class scheduling and assignment. They're going to oversee your evaluations, classroom materials like syllabi or textbook adoptions come through your division and departments. Your first stop for classroom management issues, for paperwork, and department meetings. How these things differ. Your division is headed by your dean. Some divisions have multiple departments. Deans don't generally teach. We had one in humanities ages ago who taught one class in addition to being our division dean, but most do not do that. They oversee budget, strategic planning, hiring, evaluation, class assignments. All that stuff is under the purview of your dean. Your department will be headed by a department, one or more department chairs. The chairs are essentially the liaison between the faculty and the dean. So any issues that the faculty have, any questions, any changes, curriculum, that kind of stuff that the department decides on, the department chairs are going to convey that to the dean. One very important point of clarity, department chair is not your boss. Department chairs are other faculty. They are there as the liaison, but your main supervisor is your dean. So if you do end up having any issues with a department chair, the dean is the person that you can go to. You can also look for help with your at-large reps and Paul if you have any issues with department chairs. But generally, these are full-time faculty in smaller departments. They may ask you to do some work of a department chair, but if you ever feel any of that kind of duty creep, let one of us know and we'll talk to whoever we need to talk to and clarify your roles as part-time faculty. The nuts and bolts, division staff, get to know your division staff. They are key to making everything run smoothly. SCFT is in good communication with CSEA, the Classified Staff Union, and we want all of our faculty and our staff to have the best working conditions that they can. We want everybody to work collegially, but generally your division staff are the people that are sending you those deadlines and emails to outline the processes for absences, letting you know about end of semester preparations, etc. That's all coming from your division staff, and they are key. Your job and all of this, you've got creative control over your content. This sometimes comes up as a union issue in smaller departments, or maybe sometimes in the math and sciences. They kind of have I don't want to say blanket, but a general kind of guideline of maybe textbooks that they use or curriculum that they use, but you should have creative control on your classes. If you have any issues, let us know. You're responsible for your classroom management, grading, attendance records. You're in charge of being collegial with everybody that's collegial with you. And you absolutely have the right to ask questions, to make note of issues that you see, whether it's in your classroom. I know we were just talking to facilities about what's going on in language arts in our FO offices, but you should feel confident in asking questions and getting clarity if you need it. And if you ever don't have that confidence, please let your at-large reps know. We're here to help you. You can always CC us on an email to a department chair or a dean or to HR. Or if you haven't heard from somebody, let us know and we'll kind of reach out and try to help you contact them as well. All right. Part-time office hours. We're technically out of contract, but the part-time office hours were set to end on the 30th of this year. But since we don't have a new contract, we're still working within the parameters of the past contract, and your office hours will be honored through that past contract. So you need to be teaching at least 3 LHE. You apply for these office hours through your department. We don't have a consistent process for that now, so it may look different department to department, but if you have any questions, you can reach out. If approved, you can get up to 10 to 14 hours a semester, depending on your load, and those are paid at 35 an hour. Office hours can be face-to-face or online. If you are teaching 100% online, but get approved for office hours, the expectation is that only 20% of office hours are supposed to be online. But if you're 100% online, talk to your dean. If you need to reach out to one of your at-large reps to do so, because there may be some negotiation. Obviously, if you're teaching an online class, students are not likely to show up for face-to-face office hours, so that can be a little negotiated. And then you'll submit a timesheet at the end of the semester. So unfortunately, you're not getting paid for these monthly, but you'll submit the timesheet and then you'll have those office hours that get paid right after the end of the semester. Okay, and OAB 220, my first office when I got hired full-time. I was in cubicle 2. So this will be an official part-time space. There is one other person in there, but I believe they're in that fourth cubicle there. It should be cleaned up, ready to go by the end of August. I'll be going in to label cubicles. There's a little potential area space for snack or storage. When I was in there, there was a fridge already in there. I'm not sure if there will be. But this is the second floor. We wanted to get an office space in OAB because it's one of the most recognizable buildings for students. This is a space that we're in the process of working out how we're going to schedule this, but this will be primarily for those who get approved office hours. It's a space that you should be able to access after 5 p.m. So if you have an evening class, you'll have a space that you can occupy before that class. If you are not approved for office hours or you're not maybe scheduled in the space, there is a teacher's lounge in the lower level of OAB, and that code there is 6061 pound. That is just for faculty. There's no meetings held in there, no office hours are to be held in there. But if you need a quiet space to grade or a quiet space to just grab lunch or just kind of take a break, the teacher's lounge is there. I use that a lot when I was in OAB 220.
Yeah, I'm here right now too.
Oh,
And
yay. Yes, so utilized space.
yeah.
All right. Next is sick leave. So you accrue 1 hour of sick leave for every 18 hours of instructional or non-instructional duty in the fall and the spring. It's allotted at the start of each semester, and while you don't earn sick leave in the summer, you can use it then. Unused sick leave accumulates each term that you work if you have any breaks in employment. So maybe you're moving to a different campus or something's up and you don't have your regular employment, reach out to your union reps because this may affect your part-time sick leave. It may also affect your, oh gosh, your right of assignment. So your rehire position. So anytime that you have any breaks from employment, just reach out to one of the reps. Can be utilized for issues related to pregnancy and for parental leave for no more than 12 work weeks. That's for the parental leave. This is all in your self-service, so your employment grade, rate, your accrued sick leave, all that stuff's in your self-service portal. And then the process for calling in sick. It's been a little bit of a circus in humanities, but I think we've got it down. But this is going to be different from department to department. If you have questions, ask your department chair, ask your department or division staff. They should outline the process for who you email, when you need to email them, what information that they want. You don't need to explain why you need sick leave. Generally, they just need to know your dates, your classes that you're missing, if you're missing office hours. So maybe there have been times that I've taken, I wasn't feeling well like for an afternoon class. So I was at my morning class. I did my office hour, but then I took that last class off. So keep office hours in mind if you're getting paid for them. And you don't have to find your own sub. I'm not sure if people are saying that in other divisions. We had an issue with that in our division that they wanted us to find a sub. That's not our job. So just let them know your days and times, the classes that you're missing, and they should be able to do the rest. If you have any questions, let your at-large reps know. I'm going very quickly. Okay, all right, about 30 minutes. So just a basic semester roadmap. Make sure that you've signed your contract for your assigned classes. I believe you have 30 days. If there's any issues with your pay rate, once you've signed that, remember that your class assignment contract, that little one that you sign each semester, is different than your employee contract. Check your course outlines of records and syllabi. If you're using simple syllabus, it's a little bit easier. But generally, there is a syllabus checklist that the Academic Senate has put out. Your division staff should have access to that. Certainly your division department chairs. Be sure that you have keys. You can get those through the Office of Administrative Services and OAB. Parking passes, know where you should park depending on where your classes are. And yeah, and there's some other things, but that's basically. First 3 weeks, keep an eye out for department emails for deadlines on paperwork. We normally, if you have approved office hours, they need to know when and where those are happening. We have to submit syllabi, we have to clear our rosters, so a lot of stuff happens in that first 3 weeks. Drop any no-shows and non-attending students. So yesterday in my division meeting, there was some talk, especially for online classes, about fraudulent students. So make sure that you're talking to your department chairs in your department or any full-time faculty that may have attended a department meeting if you couldn't, about how to screen for those students in the first 3 weeks. We certainly don't want to penalize students who are just kind of trying to get it together, especially in the fall as opposed to the spring. But they did mention to us to be on the lookout for fraudulent students, especially in online classes. So make sure you're in contact with your departments about how best to do that. Midterms, keep an eye on the last day to drop students when they can get that W. Remember one of the things that was a big load off to me, I think, when I was part-time. Not all midterms have to be large. So if you can do things that are going to help your students and help you get a break at the midterm, prioritize working smarter, not necessarily harder. Prep for finals. Be sure that your classes are clear on final exam dates, locations, and expectations. None of those finals should overlap. There are specific rules if you have a final that starts off the hour, like at 12:30. And then you should be also getting emails from division department staff about the end of semester protocol. So when those final grades are due, when you should close your Canvas courses, all that kind of stuff that leads in. We normally, in the humanities, we get a very large email from our dean. Not every division does that, but this is about 3 weeks out when you should be getting that information. So if you don't have it, please feel free to ask questions. And then at the end of the semester, let students know when to expect final grades. Some people have them done earlier than others. Attain any necessary grade forms. If you're doing something like an incomplete, you need students to sign that paperwork. So you don't want to end up in a situation where you have an incomplete, but the students are gone because you've had your final. So make sure you get that during finals week. Check emails for instructions on how to wrap, conduct final grading online, submit electronic grade and attendance rosters. And this end of semester wrap up information should include links and tutorials and videos for how to do this stuff down here. So you shouldn't be in the dark at all for the last 3 weeks of the semester. And we're certainly here to help you if you have any trouble then. Okay, unemployment. So I know not everybody does this. I did this when I was part-time, so I'd apply for unemployment for every winter and every summer, most summers until I started working. But you can qualify for winter and summer months. I recommend, I don't know if we have this because SCFT also does a workshop on how to do this, but I'm not sure if we pointed out in that workshop that you should apply for it the week before you actually stop working because the state's only going to pay you. They take a week off for processing paperwork. So you'll need to start this before you're actually done working. Your claim is filed through the state unemployment portal, and the state reaches out to the district to verify any details that they need. So you don't have to provide them any more than what they're asking for on that application form. All your employment details can be accessed with support through Human Resources and through your self-service hub. You can appeal if you get a claim that is denied. It does take time though. So I'm not sure if it's worth it for the winter. It may be for some, maybe not for others. But in the summer, if you have an unemployment claim that gets denied, you can certainly appeal that. And then our video and workshops on how to do this. Our workshops are brought to all faculty, but when we record them and put them online, it's only in the members only area. So you'll only be able to access that if you're a dues paying member. Okay. So I am done a little, yeah, about 35 minutes. I think that's how I tied myself. But I'm gonna go through the chat. Are there any questions about materials? Okay. Nope. Any questions? Any slides that maybe you want me to go back to?
I'm sorry, I missed the first few minutes. Excuse me,
Yeah.
this will be found in Canvas, right? Is that
Yes.
what you said earlier? Okay,
So
all
there
right.
is, let me go back to that slide. Yeah, I'll bring up some of the QR code things. There it is.
All right.
So that's the link to it. It's published. This presentation is already up in the modules. I haven't put an announcement up there, but I'm one of the facilitators. Our part-time instructor, Sam Brookshire from the English department. She's also the union executive vice president, and Monique Quintana are our current facilitators. So folks that are putting things up. When I get my list of in humanities, they give us a list of like frequently used numbers that I found out not everybody gets in their departments. So I'll be scanning ours and putting that up there. And then just some spaces where if you have resources specifically in math and sciences, anything that you all can share to help each other, we'll make sure that everybody else gets through that hub. And then our Discord QR code is here. Those are generally, we created the Discord because not all conversations need to be had via Canvas and district emails. So any issues or just more casual conversations, you can find those through the various channels on our Discord.
Thank you.
Very welcome. Looking at. Okay, good question. So your pay rate and self-service. When you log into self-service on your left-hand menu, there's going to be a tab for employee. Under that menu is where you're going to find your pay stub, your sick leave. It's in that employees tab. Oh, Paperwork for office hours should be found in your department office. So email department chairs or division staff, and they should be able to direct you to where that paperwork is and the deadline that they needed by. There's a general deadline. Some divisions or departments might want them a little bit before that for processing, but that's all information that will be found in your department. Oh, great question, Hannah. So, general question, can part-time faculty receive any funding when presenting at academic conferences? I do know that as part-time faculty, you can apply for conference funding through TNC. Travel and Conference is a committee through the Academic Senate. Your division department should have a Senate rep that gets that TNC information. So that would be something that you would generally, I know we get it in our department meetings. But certainly, as a part-timer that might not go to those department meetings, email a department chair. If you're presenting, I'm not sure if you get any different funding than just through TNC. So that might be a specific question. But yes, that's one of the things I don't think a lot of part-timers know, that even though you're part-time, we can help you get paid to go to conferences. Yes. Okay. And then bereavement leave. Okay. So I got a message. Bereavement leave and catastrophic leave, those are found in the employee contracts. That's something that you would contact an at-large rep or Paul for to walk you through that process. When we have those leaves, generally it's because something like bereavement, or if you have injury that you're out for a little bit longer than normal, has to go through the district. So you would email through HR, and then we have a little committee. I used to be on that committee that meets, that we review. Hey, somebody is applying for this much leave. This is how much they have in their bank. And generally, that committee is mostly faculty. So most of those leaves get approved. Some of them don't. But that would be something that goes through your at-large rep or specifically Paul. And then there was one other question. So I'm going to stop sharing briefly to bring up oops, to bring up my self-service and see if that might help answer some questions on where to find that leave. So give me just a second. Do. Okay. And I won't go into specifics since we're in my self-service, but okay. So when you've signed in under employment, there's this employee log here, and then this is going to be where you have that leave stipend, your position grade and step info, all that stuff's going to be under the employee um, tab there to answer that question. And I don't think I see anything else. Oh, one new one popped up. Okay, so somebody looks like they don't have an employee tab. My guess is that, because this is going to be something that is going to go through tech services eventually, but I think that the person that you would contact, because if you're a new employee, it could be, sometimes we have new part-timers that get hired that they're given somebody's old employee identification number or an employee identification number that doesn't work. So I would contact Gabby if you're brand new, because she might know if it's coming through and it just hasn't hit your end of self-service or not. Okay, so Pamela says, I teach one in-person class Wednesdays from 8 to 6:50. Does that qualify for hours? That would depend on your LHE. So if it is more than 3, yes, you would qualify for office hours for that one class. Okay. And then again, I'll go back to our tab here. So again, Paul's the guy that handles the heavy duty stuff. At-large reps, I know we've got them in multiple divisions. Humanities and social sciences is pretty overrepresented. There's a lot of us, but we do have some folks in other divisions. If you're interested in getting more involved in any union activity, please stop by our part-time house meetings. You don't have to be on the executive council to help us out, to share information. But we appreciate all the boots on the ground that we can get, whether you're dues paying or not. So if you're interested in working with PTAC or any of our other committees, you can come to our executive council meetings. Those are open to the public as well if you want to know a little bit more about what we do there. And again, there's going to be a board meeting next Tuesday at 3:30 in Clovis. So there'll be a whole bunch of union folks there arguing and making snarky remarks about negotiations. So any other questions? I got one. Okay. Got that. All right. In that case, oh, let me go to, yeah, let's log in and check out the part-time faculty hub so you know where that is. Got too many windows open. So the link should take you here and there will be an option to self-enroll. There is just some general buttons here. So this one connects to the modules, discussions. Again, there's probably just going to be minimal discussion here because it's more likely that folks will interact with our Discord channel. Your facilitators are me, Samantha Brookshire, and Monique Quintana. And then in the modules is a link to, well, it's a PDF of this presentation. So if you're there, you won't have to wait for Susie to send around the link to the hub, because normally all the flex sessions are recorded, and then there's a hub for them, so you can check out some of the ones that you missed. Couple more messages. Okay, so somebody asked, you get health benefits during summer break. I want to say no, but I am not sure. I will make sure that I figure that out. And I will probably make an announcement in the faculty hub to answer that question. Benefits in summer. Okay. In that case, that's all I have for you. Thanks for coming. Again, I'll be doing another one of these in OAB at 1 p.m. It'll be in person. So if I'm not sure what the room is right now, but if you know of anybody that might be able to use the information that's already on campus, please share it with them. We'd love to have them. And feel free to reach out to me at any time, email. I'll also make sure that there's a list of all of our at-large reps on campus on the hub. That way you know them by division and area for FCC. And I do know for part-timers that are working in other campuses, I know that there's a presentation similar to this one going on at Reedley. And I do want to point out that for our faculty hub, it's just for Fresno City. So if you know of any part-timers in Madera or out in Clovis that might use this information, feel free to have them email me or give them my email. I'll be glad to send them this presentation and answer any questions. You're very welcome. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And thanks
Okay.
to everybody else.
Bye.
Like I said, this information will be on the faculty hub. It'll be in our professional development follow-up. So just thank you to the interpreters as well for being here to help